I'm Kim Bailey and I'm a public speaking mentor and coach. Today, to start off, I want to ask you a question. What does speaking well mean to you? It's fairly important that you have that clear in your head before we start this course, because I can teach you all sorts of techniques and theory, but I want you to be able to adapt those learnings to your particular needs, to your particular skills, and to your particular style. Just as you would determine your ideal client for your business or your services, I want you to think about the target of speaking skills that you're working towards, so you can use these techniques, use the methods that we talk about in this course to make your skills the best that they can be. What we want to do together is develop this skill so that it's not just something that you had to learn or that you had to improve in order to maintain your executive presence. It's something that you can add to the skills that you have in your skill set, and something that will not become a burden to you when you need to do public presentations. Let's now have a look at what the other sessions involve so that you can get an idea of the sorts of things that I'm going to cover with you through the course. The first of the active sessions is preparation and practice. And here we're going to look at how you prepare for any kind of presentation, what sort of things you need to do to be prepared, and how that preparation and the time put into preparation will improve the actual performance on the day. Practicing, I think, speaks for itself, and I'm a great believer in you just have to keep practicing, and it doesn't have to be for a particular occasion or for a particular presentation. I think that you can present and practice anywhere, anytime, and the more you practice, the more comfortable you get with your skill set and your style, the better you will be in actuality. We're going to look at writing your presentation. Now, I know that many of you have presentations written for you, but I still think it's important for you to understand what you would like in a presentation so that you give clear instructions and you don't have to waste time in having presentations presented to you and then reworked before you actually do the presentation. So we'll look at writing a presentation, whether it's you actually writing it or whether it's you giving instructions to someone else to write it for you. I'm going to look at how you create a great first impression. Now, it's well known that the first 90 seconds of any interaction anywhere on anything is where you make some judgment calls. So people are going to judge you, and have done in the past, no doubt, on the first 90 seconds of any presentation that you make. So we need to ensure that that first impression time is the kind of impression you want to give. Now, I'm not talking about being the same impression every time, but thinking about what impression it is that you want to hit people within that first 90 seconds and how you do it. Session 5 is asking the question about whether anyone's listening to what you've got to say, and how you can tell while you're presenting whether the message is getting through to your audience and what sort of a message is actually getting through to the audience, so that in the event that it's a presentation that has to be repeated a number of times, that you can adjust it given the feedback that you've been able to gain from taking note of what is happening in the audience while you're actually doing the presentation. It also takes away some of the nerves because you're not thinking about you, you're not thinking about what your reaction is to this situation, you're thinking about what the reaction is to the words that you're using, to the presentation that you're making. So we'll have a look at how you tell and how you use that information. We'll look at what your individual style is. Now, I can teach you how to speak in public, and you can go out there and you can speak well, and you can go to any number of courses, all sorts of presentations about how to speak well, and that will be a particular way of learning and of presenting information. What you need to develop so that you are comfortable or more comfortable about your presentations is your individual style. And your individual style is a combination of what you've got to say, how you're going to say it, and who you are. So we'll look at that, and we'll look at how important that is in terms of the reception of the presentation that you're giving, and also in terms of how it will lessen some of the anxiety that you might feel about presentations if you know that you're going to present in a certain way every time, or have a certain look, or have a certain delivery style. Then it does make it easier for that transition from working to presenting. We're going to look at an area that is probably not looked at as often as I would like, and it's about voice and breathing. Now, voice is very important naturally in terms of your presentation style, but what you want to have is a good strong voice with a good tone and timbre to it. And how do you get that if you haven't got that as a natural evolution of your growth and your development in speaking terms? And we'll look at how breathing affects that, and how you can control your breathing, and again how the breathing will help minimize the effects of nerves. We're going to talk about nerves, but not as an individual topic. Nerves to me are a symptom of being anxious about doing the right thing, about presenting the right way. And if you look at all of the other elements that come into being when you're doing a presentation, you can minimise your nerves. I will not ever say that nerves will not be a part of any presentation you make. They will be. I still get nervous, and I've had more than 30 years of experience both in public speaking and in teaching others. And it is just an indication of how important you feel the situation is, how well you want to do at this particular activity. And so we'll look at it in terms of all of the other things that we're going to talk about through this course. The last session is about bringing everything together, bringing all of the information that we've talked about in those previous sessions and putting it into practice, and looking at how far you have come towards those targets that you first set, that I talked about in this introduction today. So there's a little introduction to the course. As I said, we're going to cover presentation and practice, writing your presentation, your speech or your presentation, whichever it is, creating a great first impression, finding out if anyone's listening to what you've got to say, what your individual style is and developing that for you, about your voice and breathing, and then bringing it all together at the end. It's a big task, so let's get started.